So Revelation 20 basically is this. Jesus will end climate change. The earth is dying, and only God can fix it. I mean, have you read? Every time you read about more forest fires, I didn't put up the headlines of the Canadian fires. How about the Australian fires? It was 2 years ago. The shocking wildfires had displaced 3 billion animals during the Black Summer of Australia. They have never seen wildfires. I mean, and that was 2 years ago. Canada's, they found out, with satellites, are still burning. They're burning under the snow. They're starting to smolder. Smoke is coming out. As soon as it gets the dry winds coming across the prairies of Canada, they're going to all burst back into flames, and we're going to have another round. How about this? That's a great headline. These are all just clipped out of the newspapers. Everything, everywhere. This is the article. Microplastics are everywhere. They shed from your clothing, your tires, your broken down trash. They're produced in factories. The tiny pieces of plastic debris have been a subject of a number of grabby headlines of late, which proclaim they've infiltrated the farthest reaches of the ocean. By the way, when they did core samples on top of Mount Everest, one of the climbers up there, after he took his picture, and the frozen flag, they took core samples. They found that on the highest spot of mountains on Earth, microplastics are just layered down through the snow. Everywhere, the top of the Andes, the top of the Himalayas, the top of the Rockies, the top of every mountain range. Microplastics. They're in Antarctica, they're in the air we breathe, and guess what? Last year, a doctor was taking a blood draw, looked at it in a microscope, and there were nanoparticles of plastic. Now, we knew what you're breathing in, if it's small enough, through the blood oxygen exchange that goes on in your respiration in your lungs, we knew theoretically plastic would transfer. It's not theoretical anymore. All of us, all blood samples that they are starting to take in the major hospitals are starting to show a higher and higher and higher percentage of nanoparticles of plastic in our blood. Well, this is from the Belgian paper, the Brussels Times. PFOSs and PFOAs are found in soil samples, but not in water or vegetables. Wasn't that a comforting headline? And it said these are the forever chemicals, that make, the wash and wear, non-wrinkle clothing, raincoats repel water, so our shoes don't absorb water, all that stuff. That's all around us everywhere. It's on the paper that you get at fast food. It's on the containers that food is packaged in. It's just everywhere. It's one of the most common chemicals. It's very even used for putting out fires, and they just spray it liberally anytime there's any fire, all these forest fires. It's been found in almost all samples in Europe taken from their chicken runs and people's vegetable gardens, and the compost, and the eggs, and the house dust in the serum. But it's not in the water or the vegetables. Yet. Okay. But now, the British hired a motorhome. See, this is the UK Guardian. And they went all through the United States and took samples of water at restaurants, at diners, at McDonald's. They asked for a cup of water. At Starbucks, they asked for a cup of water. And they ran with their cup of water out to their motorhome. And it was a mobile lab. And this is what they wrote. We sampled tap water across the U.S. and found arsenic, lead, and toxic chemicals. A 9-month motorhome journey by The Guardian and Consumer Reports found alarming levels of forever chemicals, arsenic and lead, in samples taken across the U.S. That was in 2021. This week, Monday, it was announced, for the first time, the U.S. House of Representatives has brought forward, voted on, and passed a bill that is going to give standards to all of the municipal water facilities of how much of these chemicals, especially the forever chemicals, can be in our water. Well, we've known about this for a long time, but it takes so long to legislate anything to be done. You know what the article concluded with? They said 1/2 of all drinking water in America has forever chemicals in it, and just like microplastics, everybody that's drinking it It's forever a part of their body. That's why they're called forever. And so what's happened is, this is glyphosate. You know what that is? Roundup. Aren't you glad for Roundup? You can just spray along your sidewalk, and you can do your deck, and you can do everywhere, and you can keep, dandelions out of your sight. That weed killer is found in 80% of all of Americans' urine. You know what they've started doing since COVID? They started testing at the sewer plants and finding out how many people had COVID because they were testing the sewer systems in all of our municipalities. Now they've gone beyond that, and they're looking in the same treatment for this stuff. And they were so alarmed that the government asked, they said, if we're going to pay for a blood test or a urine test, which the government pays for about half of all the medical in America, they said, we want to start doing urinalysis of Roundup. 80% of all people that take a urine sample test into a hospital that the government has anything to do with have Roundup in their body. All that to say this. Good news. Paradise is coming to earth. That's the first 6 chapters. And God long promised that earth would return to kind of like the Garden of Eden-like conditions, just like it was at the beginning.